In this session, we will be comparing two methods of connecting PHP with MySQL. That is, we'll be comparing MySQLi and PDO. Before that, let's understand few terms like API, connector, driver, and extension. API. An application programming interface API defines the classes, methods, functions, and variables that your application will need to call to carry out the desired tasks. APIs can be procedural or object oriented. A connector is a piece of software that allows your application to connect to the MySQL database server. It helps in connecting to the database server and querying the database and other database related functions. Driver. A driver is a piece of software designed to communicate with a specific type of a database server. The driver may also call libraries such as MySQL Client Library or the MySQL native driver, which implement the low-level protocols used to communicate with the MySQL database server. Extension. The PHP code consists of a core with optional extensions to the core functionality. An extension typically exposes an API to the PHP programmer to allow its facilities to be used programmatically. The three main API options available for connecting to a MySQL database server are PHP's MySQL extension, PHP's MySQLi I for improved extension, and PHP Data Objects PDO. Use the MySQLi and PDO extensions as the MySQL extension is obsolete. Now we'll be comparing MySQLi and PDO. MySQLi was introduced in version 5 and PDO was introduced in version 5.1. Both MySQLi and PDO support object-oriented interface. So both of them has yes under object-oriented interface. Procedural interface. MySQLi has procedural interface whereas PDO does not provide procedural interface. API supports non-blocking asynchronous queries with MySQL ND. Yes, MySQLi does provide for this and PDO does not provide these calls. Persistent connections is available with both MySQLi and PDO. API supports server-side prepared statements, yes for both MySQLi and PDO. API supports client-side prepared statements, no for MySQLi and yes for PDO. API supports stored procedures, yes for MySQLi and yes for PDO as well. API supports multiple statement, yes for MySQLi, and most of the things are also supported by PDO. API supports transaction, yes for MySQLi, and yes for PDO as well. Transaction can be controlled with SQL, yes for both MySQLi and PDO. Supports all MySQL 5.1 plus functionality, yes for MySQLi, and most of the functionality is supported by PDO as well. Database support. For MySQLi, it is only MySQL, whereas PDO supports 12 different drivers. And this is the major difference between MySQLi and PDO, that PDO supports 12 different drivers, whereas MySQLi only supports MySQL database. So in this session, we compared the two methods of connecting PHP with MySQL, that is MySQLi and PDO. In this session, we will be learning about installing and configuring MySQLi. The MySQLi extension was introduced with the PHP version 5.0.0. The MySQL native driver was included in the PHP version 5.3.0. In case the distribution of Linux you are using does not have the MySQLi extension, you can install the relevant package. For example, in Ubuntu, install the PHP 5-MySQL package. In CentOS, install the PHP-MySQL package. MySQLi can be configured by changing the settings in the php.ini file. For example, MySQLi.AllowPersistent enables the ability to create persistent connections. MySQLi.MaxPersistent specifies the maximum number of persistent connections that can be made. MySQLi MaxLinks specifies the maximum number of MySQL connections per process. MySQLi default port specifies the default TCP port number to use when connecting to the database server if no other port is specified. To install MySQLi, give the command dnf install php-mysql. In earlier versions of Linux, you can also give yum install php-mysql, or in other versions, it can be a different package. It searches and finds PHP MySQL native driver and PHP PDO driver to install. Press Y. Once these packages are installed, a complete message is displayed. Let me clear the screen. You can check the files which are installed by giving the command rpm-lq php-mysqlnd. You can see the different files which are installed. You can also give the command php-i pipe to grep MySQLi to see the current settings which are available. These settings are set in the php.ini file. So you can say vi etc php.ini and go to the MySQLi section. Here it says maximum number of persistent link, currently which is set to -1, which means no limit. You can set some limit, let's say 50 over here. Similarly, other settings are available like allow local in file, allow persistent on, max links, cache size, port number, socket, default host, default user, and default password. These are used in case we do not specify them in the MySQL connect command. However, we should not put the password over here because of security reasons. Once you have completed the changes, you can save and quit this file. You can again give the command php-i and see the difference. Earlier, the max persistent was unlimited. Now we have changed it to max persistent to 50 by configuring the php.ini file. In this demo, we just saw how to install and configure MySQLi. In this session, we'll learn about using persistent connections with MySQLi. Persistent connections, they are the links that do not close when the execution of your script ends. The connection between the client process and the database can be reused by the client process instead of creating and destroying it multiple times. They reduce the overhead of creating fresh connections every time one is required because unused connections are cached and ready to be reused. To open a persistent connection, you must prepend p: to the host name when connecting. Now we must understand what the persistent connections are not. They do not give you the ability to open user sessions on the same link. They do not give you the ability to build up transaction efficiently. They do not give you any functionality that wasn't possible with non-persistent connection. Let's set persistent connection between PHP and MySQL. First of all, let's look at a script that is creating a connection between PHP and MySQL. So I'll change to a different folder. So I'm logged in as root user and I'm changing to var www.html folder. Here I have created a script called MySQLi connect. In this script, I have created three variables. Server is set to localhost, user is set to root, pass is set to Red Hat. Next, I'm creating a connection object by using new MySQLi constructor and passing the three values server, user, and pass over here. Next, I check if the connection is successful. If there is an error, the connection failed message is displayed and the script stops. Else it displays connected successfully using MySQLi object-oriented method. Then the connection is closed. Now let's run the script. I open my browser and I give the command localhost MySQL iconnect.php. A connected successfully message is displayed. Now let's go back to the command prompt. Over here, let's give another command. Let's give the command MySQL admin -u root -p Red Hat process list. It shows that one process is running on the system. Let's give one more command. MySQL admin -u root -p Red Hat extended status pipe it to grep threads. So it shows that currently there is just one thread which is running. There are three total threads which were created and there is one connected thread. Now let's create the same connection as persistent by adding p colon before the host name. So I'll open the file again. On line number 7 over here, we will add p colon in quotes followed by a dot to concatenate with the server name. This will make this connection as persistent connection. Let's save this and run it. I'll open my browser and I'll run this again. Now let's look at what is happening in the background. Let's run this script again. Now over here you can see that instead of just one process, there are two processes and one of them is in sleep state. That means it is the persistent connection which is running in the background. Similarly, let's give the other command. When I give the command MySQL admin -u root -p Red Hat extended status grep threads, it shows threads connected is 2 and threads running is 1. So we just saw how to set the persistent connection between PHP and MySQL. In this session, we'll learn about using prepared statements with MySQLi. A prepared statement is used to execute the same SQL statement repeatedly with high efficiency. Advantages of using a prepared statement is that prepared statement reduce parsing time as the preparation on the query is done only once, although the statement is executed multiple times. Bound parameters minimize bandwidth to the server as you need to send only the parameters each time and not the whole query. MySQLi prepare prepares a SQL statement for execution. MySQLi underscore statement bind params binds the variables to a prepared statement as parameters. MySQLi statement bind result binds variable to a prepared statement for result storage. Over here I have a customer table with fields customer ID, which is primary key, customer F name, customer L name, customer email, and customer age. We're going to use the prepare statement to insert records into this table. So for that, let's look at a script. Let's look at a script called prepare insert.php. In this script, I first of all define 4 variables: server, user, pass, and DB name. I assign them values related to my system. Next, I create a connection using MySQLi constructor and pass these variables to that constructor. Next, we check if the connection is created. In case the connection is failed, the message is displayed and the script stops here. Next, we are creating a prepare statement. Over here, the prepare statement has got a statement insert into customer, the field name, customer F name, customer L name, customer email, and customer age. However, for values, we have just specified question mark, question mark, question mark, and question mark, because they will be bound to certain variables later on. To bind them, first we also have to specify the data types. I is used to specify integer type, D is used to specify double type, S is used to specify string type, and B is used to specify blob type of variables. So we define 4 variables and bind them to the parameters. SSSI over here means that $fname variable is string type, $lname is of string type, $email is also of string type, and $age is integer type. Next, we assign values to these variables. Fname is assigned Steve, Lname Martin, email steve at sample.com, age as 45, and we execute the statement. Now, these values will be replaced in the prepared statement and executed. We can reuse the prepare statement and use it again by specifying different values. For example, I have given values over here as Tom Shaw, email as tom at sample.com, and 35, and executed it. Similarly, another set of values I have given as Mary Hill, Mary at sample.com, age 25, and executed the statement. In the end, we display a message, new records created successfully, and close the statements and close the connection. Now let's run this statement. I open my browser. In localhost, I type in prepare insert.php. So I get a message, new records created successfully. Let's look at phpMyAdmin, customer table. I can see the 3 records have been created. Now we will create another script to retrieve the data from the customer table. Let's look at the second script called prepareResult.php. Again, initial part remains the same. We set up a new connection, and if the connection is not successful, we display a connection failed message over here. Now over here, we are using a prepare statement, but this time we have select customer Fname, customer last name, customer email, and customer age from customer as the statement which is prepared. We execute it and we bind the results to these 4 variables: first name, last name, email, and age. Next, we display these values in a while loop till there are more values to be displayed over here using the printf function. Lastly, we close the statement and close the connection. Now let's save this and run this in our browser. So when I run this script in my browser, I see the result. 3 records which we had entered earlier are getting displayed using the prepare statement. So in this session, we saw how to use prepare, bind param, bind result statements with MySQLi. In this session, we will learn about using stored procedures with MySQLi. A stored procedure is a subroutine stored in the database. Applications can call and execute the stored procedures. The call SQL statement is used to execute a stored procedure. it can have out, and out parameters. In this demo, we'll see how to use stored procedures with MySQLi. For this, you need to consider a customer table, which I have in my database. It has got customer ID, which is the primary key, and auto increments. I have customer first name, customer last name, customer email, and customer age. These 5 fields are there. What we'll do is we'll write a stored procedure which will accept a customer ID and return the remaining 4 fields as output parameters. So let me just show you the script. So I have this script which I have written called create procedure get customer. First of all, I have set delimiter to $. Then I am defining this procedure get customer. This has got 5 parameters. First one is the input parameter CID, which is int. The remaining 4 are output parameters first name, last name, email, and age. The body of the procedure begins with the begin keyword. Next, we have the body of the procedure, which has got select statement, select customer F name, customer L name, customer email, customer age into F name, L name, email, and age from customer where cust ID is equal to CID. The procedure ends with the end tag and the delimiter $. The delimiter is set back to semicolon after that. Now let me just save this script and run it. To run the script, give the command mysql-u root-p password. In this case, it is Red Hat. Less than get cust underscore proc, the name of the script file. Once the script is run, the procedure is created. Let's see in the PHP myadmin under procedures. Currently, it doesn't show any procedure which has got created new. Let me refresh the screen. Over here, I can see the get customer procedure has got created. Now let's call this procedure from our PHP script. I have created a small check cust PHP. In this, first of all, I am creating a connection to the local host with username and password and connecting to my database. If there is a connection error, the script gives the error message and stops. Else it says calling stored procedure with input and output parameters. Here the connection string is passing call get customer with the options input parameters as 1 and output parameter first, last, email, and age. Next, the query select @first, @last, email, age is used to retrieve the values which have been retrieved from the database. Next, I display these values which I have retrieved using the print underscore r function over here, and the values are displayed in the spree tag so that the formatting is not disturbed. So I save and quit from here. I open my browser and I call that procedure. I get some values returned from the procedure. I had passed 1, so corresponding to 1, in the customer table, I have Steve Martin, and that is what has been returned over here. If I want, I can change the script. Currently, it is calling with the input parameters as 1. Let me change it to 2. And now, again, if I refresh the screen, it is showing me the values Tom Shaw, which is corresponding to the customer ID 2. So what is happening is the procedure is getting called. Procedure is getting these values and returning them to the script, and the script is displaying it on the screen. So we just now saw a demo of how to use stored procedures with MySQLi. This session we learn about executing multiple statements with MySQLi. MySQL allows having multiple statements in one statement string. Sending multiple statements at once reduces client-server round trips but requires special handling. The MySQLi multi-query function performs one or more queries against the database. The queries are separated with a semicolon. All result sets returned by the executed statements must be fetched. First, we will install the world database, which is a sample database. To install it, open the site https dev mysql.com doc index-other.html. Here, there are various sample databases like employee, world, Sakila, etc. available. So, we will use this link over here for world database. Copy this link address and go to the terminal. Here, give the command wget and then paste the link. Press enter. The database file will get downloaded onto your system. Now you can uncompress it using gunzip command. A file world.sql is now available on your system. This contains the commands to create the database and populate it with values. So to install the database, give the command mysql-u root-p Red Hat is the password for me less than world.sql. This script will be run and the world database will get installed. Let's go to phpMyAdmin and see this database. Here, once I've refreshed my screen, I can see this world database present. It has got three tables: city, country, and country language. The city table contains certain values for city, such as name, country code, district, population. Country has certain other values like name, continent, region, etc. Country language has got some more fields like country code, language, official percentage, etc. So there are three tables in it. Now let's say we want to run a query which takes certain values or certain records from all the three tables. Let's say we run three queries together, and that is what we'll do it in a script. So let's look at our PHP script now. Let's say I have created a script called multi2.php. Let's look at this script. Initially, I'm creating a connection using MySQLi and giving it parameters for my world database over here. Next, I'm checking if the connection is established or not. If it is not, the connection failed message will be displayed and the script will stop running. Next, I have this query where I am taking two fields, name and district, from city, and I'm just taking two records, limit 2. The next query is select the country code and language from country language, and limit is 3 records. Next, take name and region from country and take first 4 records from here. So what I'm done is we have 3 queries. Query 1 is taking 2 records, query 2 is taking 3 records, and query 3 is taking 4 records. All of them are appended using this dot equal to symbol. Also important to note is that there is a semicolon ending with these queries. That's the syntax. Next, we execute this query using the multi-query function. Next, we check if there are any results of the query. If there are some results, we store them in the result variable and then display the result variable in a while loop. In the while loop, we display using the printf function and then we close the result. Then we add a separator if there are some more results pending, and this we continue to check if there are some more results available. This we are doing in a do while loop. So connection next result will check for the next set of results. So first while loop will run for the first select statement. It will display its records, then it will display a separator, then it will run for the second select statement and then display a separator, then it will run for the third select statement and then it will come out of this while loop and then we'll close the connection. Now let's save this and run it in a browser. So you can see over here, once this script is run, it has taken these two records from the first table, three records from the second table, and four records from the third table. It has done is for the two columns which are mentioned in the select statement. So in this session, you saw how to use multiple statements using MySQLi. In this session, we'll learn about creating transactions by using MySQLi. Transactions can be used when you want to make sure all the statements you specify are executed. In a transaction, if one statement fails, all the changes will be rolled back and the database will be in its initial state. MySQLi autocommit turns on or off auto-committing database modifications. MySQLi begin transaction starts a transaction. MySQLi commit commits the current transaction. MySQLi rollback rolls back the current transaction. First, we'll create a table in which the transactions will be created. For this, I have created a script. The table called account will be created using the script in my database. First, the script will use my database, then create a table called account in which there is field called account ID, account name and balance. Next, I will insert into this account ID 1, account name Steve and balance $2,000. I will also insert into this another record with account ID 2, account name Mike and balance 5,000. In this transaction, Mike needs to give Steve $200 from his account. So Steve's account should add $200 to balance and Mike's account should subtract $200 from his balance together. If either of this doesn't happen, that means the transaction should not proceed and should roll back. This transaction we will create using PHP and MySQLi functions. But before that, we will run this script. Once I run the script, the table is created with the two records. So let me refresh this PHP MyAdmin and you can see an account table created, and in this there are these two records which are created. Now let's create the transaction. I have created the script for you. In this script, first we create this connection to the server and connect to my database. If there is any error, the connection fails and the script stops. Next, we set the autocommit to false. And then we begin transaction using the begin transaction function. In the transaction, $200 need to be added to account 1 of Steve and $200 needs to be subtracted from account 2 of Mike. So we have these two update statements where we have update account set balance equal to balance plus $200 where account ID is 1, and next is update account set balance equal to balance minus 200 where account ID equal to 2. If any of these two statements fails, that means result 1 is equal to false or result 2 is equal to false, we display the message unable to update accounts and roll back the transaction if any one of the update statements fail. Else we commit the transaction and display the message transaction committed. Once the transaction is committed, we display the result of the change in the accounts for Steve and Mike using this query. We are displaying the values from the table and we are fetching it one by one in the rows and displaying it on the screen, and then we close the connection. So now let's run this transaction. We open the browser. We give the command localhost transaction.php because that's the name of our script, and we get the message transaction committed, account ID 1, Steve, balance is $2,200, and Mike's balance has got reduced from $5,000 to $4,800. Now if I run this again, the same transaction runs again, and now the balance becomes 2,400 for Steve and 4,600 for Mike. Now let's try to see if there was any problem with any of the updates, what happens. Now I will simulate this by modifying the script. I'm just simulating an error condition. Supposing there was some error in this query, the first query. I have given some incorrect table name assuming, and hence the first query will not update the balance, but second statement still is valid. However, since both of them are part of the same transaction, both of them will get rolled back. So let's see this. Now if I run this, it says unable to update account and the balances remain the same. This is because these two statements are part of a transaction and the transaction has got rolled back. We just saw in this session how to create. In this demo, we will see how to create a database and how to create a table using MySQLi. First of all, we'll create a database. For that, I've created a small script called create database. So I open this file vi createdatabase.php. In this file, I have defined three variables: server, user, and password. I'm creating a connection using this new MySQLi constructor and passing these variables to it. If the connection is not successful, a connection failed message is displayed and the script stops. Else, a query is created, create database library. So I'm creating a library database which will store information about different books. I execute this query, and if that query executes successfully, the database library created successfully message is displayed. Else, error creating database message is displayed and the connection closes. So let me save this script and run it. I open the browser, localhost. I've run the script and it says database library created successfully. In phpMyAdmin, let's refresh this page. And over here, a library database has just now got created. Right now, it doesn't have any table in it. So next what we'll do is we'll create a table using again our PHP script. I've created a small script called create table.php. Again, over here, what we are doing is we are creating a new connection to this database library. If there is an error, connection fails and the script stops. Next, we define a small query which is create table book, which has got book ID, which is a primary key and it auto increments. We have a book name which is varchar50. We have got author varchar50 book price int. Next, we execute this query. If this query executes properly, table book created successfully message is displayed. Else, error creating table is displayed and the connection closes. Let me save this and run this. The message is displayed, table book created successfully. Let's go to phpMyAdmin. Let me refresh the screen. In this library, we can see a book table created, and we can look at its structure, and it has the same structure we had given it in our script. So in this demo, we saw how to create a database and how to create a table using MySQLi. In this demo, we will learn about inserting data into database using MySQLi. For this demo, we will use the book table, which has got fields book ID, book name, author, and book price. Let's look at the script. In this script, we have first of all defined four variables: server name, username, password, and DB name, and assigned them respective values. Next, we have called the constructor of MySQLi and create a connection object. In case there is an error in connection failed message is displayed and the script stops. Next, we define an SQL statement: insert into book name, author, book price, values, The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, and 100 to be used to insert record into the table. If the query is successfully executed, the value true is returned and the message insert query executed successfully is displayed. Else error unable to execute query is displayed and the connection closes. Now let's run this script. So once I run the script, insert query executed successfully is displayed. Now let's look at the table. When I click on the browse button, I can see one record that has got inserted using the script. The book ID gets generated automatically. This was an example using a simple script. Now we will look at another example which will use a front end to insert another record into this table. That front end will use a form to insert record into this table. Let's look at its scripts. Here I have defined three files: cert.php, db.php, and index.php. We'll look at these scripts one by one. In db.php, I have defined four variables and I am creating a connection object which will be used throughout the other scripts. I will call this db.php in the other scripts. Now let's look at the cert.php. In the cert.php, I am including this db.php. Next, I am checking if the save button is clicked on the form. I will just show you the form. In case it is clicked, I will pick up the values which are sent through the post method and assign them to these variables: book name, author, and price. The real escape string is used to escape special characters in a string. Next, I am executing a query: insert into book name, author, book price with the values of these variables: $book name, $author, and $price. If the query is not successfully executed, a connection error is displayed. Now let's look at the form. Here I have included the cert.php. Next, I have defined this title of the page, then the body. Here I am defining the first method: input type text, name book name, placeholder book name, size 50. Similarly, I have defined input type text, name author, placeholder author name, size 50. This name, book name, author name, and book price are the names which will be used by the form, and we can reference the variables using these names. Finally, I have defined a button of type submit and it has name save. Once the form is displayed, after that I am displaying the records in the table book so that I am sure that the records are inserted. So in a while loop, I am executing this query: select star from book, and fetching the values in an array and displaying it in a tabular format. Now let me just run this form and show you. So this is the structure of the form. I have got book name, author name and price, which I can enter over here and click save. This is the table which is getting created with the values present in the table. Currently it has one record which we had inserted earlier. We will insert one more record over here. Let's say we add another record with book Fatal Burn, author Lisa Jackson and price $60 and click on save. When I will click on the save, these values will be picked up from the form and saved into the database. You can see that when I clicked on save button, this second record has got added and it is getting displayed in this table. We can also check in phpMyAdmin by refreshing over here that two records are now present. So when I see in the over here, I can see record number 1 and record number 2. Two records are now present in this table. So we just now saw two methods. One was using simple script where I executed it, and next was using the front end. I was able to insert records into the database using MySQLi. In this demo, we will learn about retrieving data from database by using MySQLi. For this demo, we will use the book table, which has got book ID, book name, author and book price as fields. It also has got two records, one The Alchemist Paulo Coelho 100, two Fatal Burn Lisa Jackson 60. We'll use a script to get these values from the table and display it in a browser. Let's look at the script. In this script, we first of all define four variables: server name, username, password and DB name, and assign them respective values. Next, we pass these values to MySQLi constructor and create a connection object. We also check if there is any error in connection. If there is, the connection failed message is displayed and the script stops. Next, we define the select query. Select book ID, book name, author, book price from book. We execute this query and get the result into a result variable. Next, we check the number of rows in the result. If it is more than 0, we use the while loop to display the result. Else we display 0 results. In the while loop, we use the fetch associate function that fetches a result as a associative array. Next, we use the echo command to display these values onto the screen. Finally, we close the connection and quit. Let's save this script and run it in a browser. Once I run the script, I can see ID as 1, name The Alchemist, author Paulo Coelho and price as 100. Second ID is also displayed with Fatal Burn, author Lisa Jackson and price 60. These values are coming through the echo command. We'll see now another script which will actually show the result in a tabular format. In this, I have got three files: cert.php, db.php and index.php. db.php is used to establish the connection. Let's see this file. It has got four variables. It is also creating a new connection object and checking for the error. We'll call this file from the other files. Next, let's look at the cert.php. This is including the db.php and also it has code for save and update functions. We are not going to go into detail of this because currently we are just going to look at the retrieving part. So we will quit from here. We look at the index.php. First of all, we include code.php file. Next, we define the HTML tags, which has got heading as managing data using MySQLi. It has got body tag, which has got managing data using MySQLi. Next, the table tag is started. Next, a query is executed, which is select star from book, and the result is stored in res variable. Using the while loop, the result is fetched as an array and stored in a row variable. Now the HTML tags tr and td are used to define the table row and table columns, and also along with it the echo statement is used to put the values of book id, book name, author, price into this table. When the while loop ends, we end the table tag, center tag, body tag, and HTML tag. Now let's save this script and execute it. Once I execute this script, you can see that managing data using MySQLi heading is displayed along with the table, which has got values from the table in the database. We saw two ways of retrieving the data. One was using the echo statement over here, and second was using the trtd tags to display the values in the tabular format. So in this demo, we just learned how to retrieve data from database by using MySQLi. In this demo, we will learn about updating data by using MySQLi. For this, we'll use the book table, which has got book ID, book name, author, and book price fields. Currently, it has got two records: one, The Alchemist Paulo Coelho 100, and two, Fatal Burn Lisa Jackson 60. Let's look at the script which will be used to update these values. In this script, we are defining four variables: server name, username, password, and DB name, and assigning them some values. Next, we are creating a connection object using MySQLi constructor and passing these variables to it. Next, we check if the connection was successful or not. In case there is an error, a connection failed message is displayed and the script stops. Next, we define over here the SQL statement which will be used to update the values in the table. The query is update book, set book name as Boomerang, author Michael Lewis, book price 40, where book ID is equal to 1. Next, we execute this query, and if the query executes correctly, we display a success message, else we display unable to execute query and the connection closes. Now let's run this script and see whether the records are getting updated or not. Currently, record 1 has got The Alchemist Paulo Coelho 100. Let's see if this gets updated using the script. So once I execute the query, a message update query executed successfully is displayed. Now let me refresh this table. Now you can see that the book ID is 1, book name is Boomerang, author is Michael Lewis, and book price is 40. We will also see another script which will use front end to do this change. It will first of all display the values in the screen. Let us edit the values in a browser and update it in the table. Now let me just show you the script. In this, I have got three files: db.php, curt.php, and index.php. In db.php, I am setting a connection. So first of all, I define four variables and define a connection object where I am creating a connection, checking if any error is there, and in case it is, the script stops right here. I will call this script from the code.php file. In this file, the first part is for the save function. I have not made any changes to it. That is the insert part. The part of updating the record starts from line number 20. Let me scroll down. Over here, there are two parts to it. One is to get the existing values from the table and displaying it on the screen, then updating those values and saving it back into the table. We check if there is an edit button which has been clicked. We retrieve the values from the table and display it in the form. So for that, there is select star from book, where book ID is equal to, using the get function, we are checking which book ID is being updated. I will just show you the form, then you will be able to understand where this edit button is. Next, I fetch the array and it will be displayed onto this form. When I click on the update button, the values are picked up from the form, and using this update query, the values which are posted from the form are updated in this table. So you can see update book, set book name is equal to post book name, author is equal to post author, book price is equal to post book price, where book ID is equal to get edit. And if there is an error message is displayed. Next, what we do is we display the index page again using the header function. So let me just go back to the index file first. In this file, what we have done is we have modified the form which we had created earlier slightly. We are using the book name. The placeholder is book name. However, the value is also being set using this function is set get edit. If the edit button is clicked, we get the value of book name from this get row variable and display it in this input box. Similarly, we display the value of author as well as price. If you have clicked the edit button, the button's value will be update, else its value will be saved. Next, we use the select statement to display all the records from the table. As we are displaying the records in the table, we also ask user, does he want to edit a particular record? So for that, we have added one more column, and we are using the href and passing the book ID along with edit is equal to parameter. So once we click on the edit button, we'll ask, do you want to really edit a particular record? And if you click on yes, then the values will get edited. Now let me just save this and show you the form, how it works. So in this form, this is the index file which is being displayed. I have book name, author name, price. This was the same thing which we had used for the insert part. However, this one column edit is new over here, and I can click over here on this edit button and make changes to this record. When I click on the edit button, and a dialog box comes, are you sure you want to edit this record? When I click on OK, the values are displayed in the form which I can update. For example, if I want to change this book name, I can say born. Let's say I can also change this author name, and we can also change this price. And when I click on the update button, you can see over here the values have got changed, and that is also reflected in this table. We can also check in this table. Currently it is showing the old values to Fatalburn, Lisa Jackson. We can click on the browse button and see that this value has got updated. Let me just show you how this is working. This is a hyperlink of edit. When I click on it, the value which is there, the book ID, is passed on to the script. So over here, if I've clicked on the edit button, I get the value using the get function, and I retrieve the values from the table. These values are then displayed in the form. Later on, when I have updated the form and I click on the update button, then this part, the if is set post update part, is executed. This will pick up the values of the post and update the table. So you can see update book, set book name as post book name, author, post author, price, post book price, and where book ID is $get edit. So this function will actually update the table and again display the index file, whereby which the values which are updated will be displayed in the table. So in this demo, we saw two methods. One was using a simple script where the records were getting updated in the table. And next we saw another method whereby which the values were being picked up from the table, displayed on the form, getting updated in the form, and then it was getting saved back into the table using MySQLi. In this demo, we will learn about deleting data using MySQLi. For this, we will use the book table which has got book ID, book name, author, and book price fields. Currently, it has got three records 1, 2, and 3 over here. The one is Alchemist, 2 is Fatalburn, 3 is Born. We'll use a script to delete the first record from this table. Let's look at the script. In this script, first of all, we define four variables: server name, username, password, and DB name. Next, we create a connection using MySQLi constructor and create a connection variable. We check if the connection was successful or not, and if it is not, then connection failed message is displayed and the script stops. Next, we define a delete query. Delete from book where book ID equal to 1. We execute this query, and if the result is true, we display a message delete query executed successfully, else we display unable to execute query. So now let's save this script and run it. So I get the message delete query executed successfully. Now let me refresh the browser in phpMyAdmin, and I can see that instead of 3 records, now only 2 records remain. Now let's look at one more script which will actually display these values onto the browser, and let me delete them by selecting one of the values on the screen. First, I will run the script and then show you how the actual script is working. So over here I have the similar form that we had used for inserting and updating data. Only difference is I've got one more column over here which has got a delete hyperlink. So once I select the delete hyperlink, that is the record I want to delete, a pop-up appears which says, are you sure you want to delete this record? And once I say OK, that particular record is deleted. Now let's look at the script which is letting me do this particular functionality. In this, I have got the three files cert.php, db.php, and index.php. In this script, I am creating four variables and assigning them values. Next, I am creating a connection, and if the connection failed message is displayed. I will call this script in my other script. In the script.php, the first part is for the insert. Next part of the code is for the update, which I'm not going to discuss right now. And this final part is the code for deleting data. So we check if the URL has got del in it. That means I have selected the del link. We execute a query delete from book where book ID is equal to get del. That means which particular book ID I want to delete. I get that value using the get method, and then again I display the index file so that the table below the form is updated. Now also we'll look at the index file. So what change we have done in this index file is the initial part remains the same. There is no change as was done for the update function. So we have defined three text boxes. We update the values if the edit button is clicked, and also we change the value of the button if the update button is clicked. But here we are not using the update functionality, we are using the delete functionality. So in the TD we have added one more column. We have got this href as del, and we are passing the book ID as its parameter, and this on click is a script which will return confirmation, are you sure you want to delete this record? And this is the hyperlink delete which we had clicked. So once I click on this delete hyperlink over here, it will ask, are you sure you want to delete this record? If I say yes, that record will be deleted using the delete function in the code file which I had just shown you. So we saw two methods. One was a simple script which deleted one record, and then there was another script which was built upon, and we had added one more column delete over here. If I click on it, a dialog box appeared, and if I had said okay, it would delete it. I'll say cancel right now. So in this demo we learned about deleting data using MySQLi. In this exercise you will create the customer table in MySQL that has the following fields: customer ID int, customer name varchar 50, customer email varchar 100, customer zip int. Use MySQLi to connect the customer table in MySQL with PHP scripts to perform the following operations: insert data, update data, delete data, view data. Now pause the video and perform the exercise. When you're finished with this exercise, start the video and compare it with what I came up with. Let's look at the solution to the exercise. Here I have a form which can be used to insert records into the table. Below the form there is a table which is retrieving the data from the table and displaying it in a browser. The table has got two columns, one for edit and one for delete. There is an edit link which can be used to edit that particular record, and there is a delete link which can be used to delete a record. Now let me run through this form once. I will first insert a record. So I am inserting a record for Jane Smith, jsmith@gmail.com, and zip code 44212. When I click on save, that record is added and is available in the table below. You can see over here it is getting displayed. Now I will edit one record, let's say the first record. When I click on edit, it says, are you sure you want to edit this record? I click OK. The values get displayed in the form above. I will change this value to Tara Brown. So I am changing the value of the name. I will also change the email address T Brown. I can also change this zip code and I click on update. When I click on update, you can see the first record values have got changed. I can also delete a record. Let's say I delete this second record. When I click on delete, it says, are you sure you want to delete this record? And I click on OK, and the second record is now deleted. So I can see that there is an insert functionality. There is a table which is showing the view. There is an edit functionality and there is a delete functionality in this page. So now let's look at the code which is used to create these functionality and this page using MySQLi. Over here I have got these 4 files. One is crude.php, database.db, db.php and index.php. The database.db has got command for creating the table with the 4 fields: customer ID, customer name, customer email and customer zip. I have already run this script, so I'm not going to do it again, and this is already created. Next, let's look at db.php. In this file, I have got 4 variables: server name, username, password and db, which are assigned respective values. Next, I am creating an instance of MySQLi class using the constructor and passing these values as parameters. In case there is an error in creating a connection, a message will be displayed and the script will stop running. I am going to call this script in my crude.php. I am opening that file. This file has got functionality for all insert, update and delete. So I am saying first of all include once db.php to include the connection that will be made. Next, let's look at the code for save. When I click on the save button, after adding the records in the form, the values are picked up from the fields and stored in these variables: customer name, email and zip, using this $_post. Next, I have defined an insert query over here and I am executing it. Insert into customer, customer name, customer email, customer zip, and values have got parameters as the variables which I have picked up from the form. So this will insert the record into the table. In case there is a problem, a message will be displayed over here. Next, for the update, there are 2 parts to it. First is when I click on the edit button, then this portion of the if will get executed, that I have clicked on the edit button. In that, I am picking up the customer ID and getting the values from the table using this query: select star from customer where customer ID is equal to $_get edit. This will give me the customer ID, and using this I am fetching the particular values as an array and updating it onto the form. Once I have made changes to the form, the next part, which is over here with the update, will get executed. In this, I am picking up the values from the form and updating it in the table. So the query is update customer, set customer name is equal to $_post customer name, customer email equal to $_post customer email, customer zip is equal to $_post customer zip, where customer ID is equal to $_get edit. If there is an error message will be displayed, and I am also putting the location as index.php to be able to reflect the changes in the table. Finally, let's look at the code for deleting data. If I click on the delete button, the control will come over here and the query for the delete will get executed. Delete from customer where customer ID is equal to $_get del. This will give me the ID which I want to delete. And then again I am setting the location as index.php so that the changes are reflected on the screen. Now let's look at index.php, which is the front end. Now first of all I am including one crude.php over here. Next I have defined the HTML tags for HTML head title. I am centering the text body, putting a heading of managing data using MySQLi. Next the table starts, which has got the form. In the form I have got first input type text, name, customer name, and placeholder customer name with size 50, and this value will be picked up from the table if I have clicked on the edit button. If is set get edit echo get row customer name. So in case the edit button has been clicked, the customer name will be picked up from the $row variable and be updated on the form. Similarly, I have got the next field, which is customer email for the input type. Its placeholder is customer email. Its size is 50. And again, value is equal to if is set get edit echo $row customer email. And finally, I've got similar entry for customer zip, where I'm entering the value for the zip. At the end, I've got the button. If I have not clicked on the edit button, the save button will be displayed. However, if I clicked on the edit button, then the update button will be shown in the form. And finally, I'm closing this table and the form. Next, we come to the next part of this code, which is the table, which is picking up all the values from the table and displaying it in a tabular format. This is viewing the data. I can see a query which is select star from customer. This result is put in a result variable. So till the time there are results to be displayed, this while loop will run and update the table with customer ID, customer name, customer email, and customer zip. And finally, I have got code for showing the hyperlink for edit and delete. It has got a href is equal to double quotes question mark edit equal to php echo row customer ID will pass on the customer ID to the script, and also when I click on it, it will ask for confirmation. Return confirm. Are you sure you want to edit this record, or are you sure you want to delete this record? So it will ask me, do you want to really edit this record or delete the record? And based upon my response, that particular action will take place. Finally, I'm closing the table, closing the center tag, body tag, and HTML tag. So this is the code which is there in the index.php. So in this demo, I showed you the solution to the exercise where I'm managing the data using MySQLi for the customer table.